hope y'all have a good day and night.
Ooh! There's a lot to unpack here.
LGBTQ plus helpline, how can we help you?
What's up, rebels?
My name's Willy.
My name's Leo.
We are engaged. We are queer. And if you need advice,
We're here.
We are so excited to be starting this new venture. Yes, we are indeed opening up a new LGBT advice helpline.
If you want to write into our show and be featured on this in the future, then please email us at leoandwillyyt, that's YouTube, not YT, at gmail.com.
And our goal for our channel is to hit 30k subscribers before the end of 2025. So you could, of course, help us by hitting subscribe and like and telling your friends about us and all that good stuff. But we don't want to go too far into self-promotion. So without further ado, let's get into it. Gay agenda, gay agenda, get agenda, get agenda. We also want to say before we do get started, this is an advice hotline by two people who have lived, God, so many lives. You've seen it on the internet, but we aren't therapists, we aren't psychiatrists, this is advice. So take it, leave it, don't let it carry too much weight, don't let it dictate everything. It's just advice, and it's up to you to take it or leave it. Okay? All right, this is the first one, and this one was so interesting. I'm gonna get straight into it. Hello, Leo and Willy. I came across your channel after my child, female to male, told me she may be trans. I know I am not using the right pronouns, I was thinking, pronouns yet, but she has stressed that until she's ready to tell her dad, she would like me to continue using these ones.
Okay, makes sense.
Understandable. We have always had a close relationship, and I am happy she felt comfortable coming to me. I'm trying to be really supportive, but the truth is, I don't know what to do. I'm scared for her. I don't know how my family, in particular, my husband's very conservative mum, will react. I'm also sad I'm losing her. I've been looking up the recommendations she has given me for educational purpose, and your channel was on the list.
That's so cute.
That's really sweet. I saw your helpline and here I am. I'm not sure what my question is or whether you can help me. I know I feel scared about the future. My biggest worry is that my child will not find love and happiness because people can be so cruel. I see the both of you and your love gives me hope. I hope I haven't offended anyone. I'm just a mama who is fiercely protective over my cub. I don't think my husband will accept my child. I love my son. Thank you. That was really wholesome.
Yeah. If you're here watching this, hi.
Hello.
Thank you for being here and thank you for writing in. This is kind of like a really cool thing because like we don't see a plethora of parents who are actively trying to be more supportive and educating themselves on how to be there for their LGBTQ plus children.
Yeah.
In particular, trans child.
Yeah.
So well done to you, first of all, for
Yay, Mom.
being here. Yeah, well done.
That's really sweet.
Yeah. I'm not sure entirely if this will work for you because I don't know the family dynamic and I don't know all the characters individually. But if this is something that might work, maybe sit down with your child and talk about the potential for you to have a conversation with dad before the three of you have a conversation. Whether that might be kind of nice to have a mediator kind of thing if you're able to kind of step into that role, if that's something that your child would be comfortable with, because that's a big hinging point is
they need to be able to lead that.
Yeah, if that's something like, please, like if you think that's a good idea, ask them as well and make sure that that's something that they're cool with.
Under no circumstances should you out your child or sort of like make that decision for yourself, like, oh, okay, I'll be the mediator. So yeah, I definitely think that's a good idea of asking them first and maybe asking them in general about how they want you to proceed with this. You know, they seem to be pretty aware about the conservativeness of like sort of like the dad's side, hence why they've gone to the mum first. And I know it's hard because as a parent you are the one who wants to be able to have the answers, but the truth is there is no answers to these things. You know, there isn't any definitive thing that's going to be this like fixing thing that's going to make things just okay, because everybody's different and everybody reacts differently and feels differently, and sometimes you have these preconceived ideas of how people are going to react and they surprise you, and that's both ways. Some people are like, oh yeah, this is the supportive one and that's the one I need to worry about, and it could swap at any point. And I think time is what's needed, okay? And that's for you to process it too before you play the role of mediator.
Yeah.
I would say, because it's very easy to look past your own feelings and step into this other role almost to distract your own feelings. Like, I'll make things okay with you and dad, and during all that time, you're just completely not really processing the fact that, you know, the child that you did envision, because I do believe every parent has this mental story that they do map out, whether they want to admit it or not. We've spoken about kids and we're like, oh, when they do this and do that, and it's like, you know, it happens, and so you know, your child isn't who you thought they were going to be, and that's brilliant. I think that's even better, because children should surprise us. They should always surpass our expectations of them. That's really awesome. But it can be shocking to the system, and it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you bad. I think doing what you're doing now, going online, the educational purposes, going on helplines, you know, whether we're, you know, the most efficient one at all, just putting yourself out there to get the advice means that you're already doing a lot better than a lot of people who watch our content's parents. You're already doing better than our parents. Adopt us.
If I can think about, like, when I was younger, and I can, like, recognize bigotry or, you know, like, small-minded people or people who are misinformed or
it's just
things.
ignorance.
Whenever I could, like, recognize that, I never had any adults also seem to recognize that, because it wasn't discussed between children and adults. But if you already are able to, like, have a sort of conversation about, hey, I'm not ready to tell dad about this because of how he feels, but I'm ready to tell you, that already gives you an indicator that they, one, see that kind of difference and recognize it and feel it, and two, that they're also open in some way to talk about it and has, like, brought it onto the table, which is already a big thing to do. So maybe follow that up.
I think parents take on this responsibility of feeling that they have to fix things for their kids sometimes, and sometimes it's all about just knowing that you've given your kid enough tools to fix things for themselves, and also understand not everything needs to be fixed. You know what I mean? In terms of your biggest fears, if I can look at them properly, my biggest worry is that my child will not find love and happiness because people can be so cruel. This is true. And I do appreciate what you said below about, you know, seeing couples like us and seeing hope, and I think that's really lovely. But the truth is, people can be cruel. We experience transphobia. Listen, I experience it too.
Hey,
I really do experience it. Transphobia is hard, and it's really difficult, you know, as the person who isn't trans in that situation, to watch someone you love be, you know, potentially be, you know, treated poorly by the world because of who they are. It's a really difficult process, but that's when you remind them how important they are to you. That's when you show up harder, and I just think you're doing a wonderful job. And if there are any parents out there who are watching this, parents of queer kids, trans kids, of, you know, who just got all these questions and they don't know what to do, all of your feelings are valid. People, you know, it's I want to say that everyone should just know what to do, and everyone should just accept their kids, and it's not that easy, unfortunately. You have to kill this version of your child that you had already created, and that's okay to do, because, you know, whatever version it is that you created of your child in the head, regardless of whether they were trans or queer, it's not who they are. There's that Japanese saying, right? They have three faces: the one that you show your family, the one that you show your friends, I think, and the one that you show yourself, the one at home. And everyone has that, right? And queer people, it's very common for us to go to our friends and for us to show them our faces first. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're failing or anything like that. I just truly feel like you need to understand that your kid is going to be who they are going to be, regardless of what you do. You haven't failed as a mother. You haven't done anything. They're just who they are. And that was going to happen with or without your input. And so accept them as they are. And I think you're doing a wonderful job. So yeah. Good on you. And we hope we could help. But as you said, you're not really sure what you're looking for. But I think what you needed was just some people to confirm that your feelings are valid, because they are. They really are valid. It's okay to feel grief. It's okay to feel sad. I'm saying this as the person who met Leo looking like a different person, sounding like a different person. And I went through a grieving process, and, you know, I saw my person change, but I saw them become a lot better than who I ever envisioned they would be either. And that's the process. It's just trusting it. You're at the beginning. It's early. It's heavy. Allow yourself to feel things. Just don't bleed onto your kid. there's therapy. I know it's difficult because your husband's not involved, so you can't do the pillow talk, but, you know, I would suggest therapy. You know, find someone to talk to, because you don't want to make the mistake of bleeding onto your kid too, and letting them know everything you feel. It can be really heavy, and you've experienced that. Yeah.
I think that we can kind of tell that from the way that this message is written, that like there is care there for wanting to do best for their child, for her child, and for just trying to do the best in terms of the situation, wanting to make sure that it's like being taken care of in a nice and thoughtful way. And you are doing great. So just continue communicating with your kid, continue to be safe for your child to communicate to, and welcome that communication with open arms, and maybe discuss how you might be able to go about things with your partner in regards to your child's identity and their ability to explore that and express that.
Just, you and your husband chose or didn't, but you brought your kids this world. The kid didn't pick you. And whilst they may go from son to daughter or daughter to son, and this is to anyone who's listening, you still remain mother. So out of whatever changes, just remember to lead from that place of love. And that's all I can say to end it off.
Yeah.
LGBTQ plus helpline, how can we help you?
Hi, Leo and Willy. My name is... I'm a lesbian adult living with my parents, and I'm saving up money so I can move out. My parents and my whole family are very homophobic. They come from a very conservative country, and my mom will not stop scolding me over my sexuality, even during the holiday season. Oh, lovely. It's mentally affecting me so much, and I just couldn't take it anymore. Do you have any tips or advice on how to survive living with homophobic parents until I can move out? Love you guys. Love. Oh.
It's sad how relatable your story is, and how common your story is for people who are queer. You know what I mean? It's such a shame.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. Can I just say something? I was thinking about this, right? There's like a 50% chance, right, for someone to not be straight, right? You're either straight or you're not, which means that some people, like somewhere in the world, there could be like a condom break-in, a child being born, and a parent who might at some point, if that kid turns out to be queer, only love it for 50%. Like, you know what I mean? There's a 50% chance that they might stop loving that child or stop being there or showing up. I just think that's crazy.
It is crazy.
I think it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's the one responsibility you have as a parent is to show up for your kid. And I just think it's so ridiculous. And we maybe are a little unbiased.
Maybe, but also I think it's something that, like, I've always kind of objectively understood, and you as well.
Yeah, of course.
That, like, you just don't, like, stop being there for your kid when they show you that they're themselves and they're not a bad person and they're not like doing evil, horrible things. They're just themselves and expressing their independent identity.
Yeah.
You know?
But the thing is, you know that, right? So you're here for some advice. So let's get to that, okay? So my personal feelings is if I'm in a place when I'm surrounded by people who go out of their way to actively make me feel bad about my identity or anything like that, I really have to find safe space, because I've also had that in my home, and my safe space, my sanctuary was my room. Not everybody has that, you know, social economical backgrounds can be a factor, that how many kids there are in the home, you might not have your own space, but finding something to, like, a place that's just yours, whether it's a little corner in the garden to go breathe. Having a journal will be your best friend. Writing things down, and just putting all of that tension and all the feeling and all the, honestly, depression. You said your mental health is suffering, and I get it. I really do get it. You write that down. You keep it there because it's doing something. Writing is processing. Processing is healing. And it doesn't always feel like it because you don't know what to do with those words. It's like, what do I do now? Do I burn the book? No, you just have them there. Sometimes it's just part of that process. Just the time you take to sit down and write and think about how you think about and think about how you feel about something. All of that is working to de-escalate things mentally within yourself, even if you're not always aware of it. So definitely journal, definitely write things down.
That's a really great bit of advice. I think also one thing that I've learned with like journaling, writing things down is, you know, I feel like sometimes if I'm feeling really emotional about something and I don't have anyone around me, like, who can hear me out and sort of, like, validate that experience for me, writing it down and seeing it written out on paper as fact does kind of validate that experience in a different way. So it's still sort of like you said, a bit of healing and a bit of, like, you know, self-therapy in a way. And also keep focusing on your goals and,
Make a mood board.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, a mood board of, like, what, like, goals.
Yeah, you go for it. I'm sure you think of, like, a mood board.
I think, like a mood board with, like, your dream house that you want to move into, the area that you want it to be, the type of house you want, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, you want a full bath, half bath, both? Like, ooh, let's get fancy.
She bougie.
Ooh, a front and a back garden. Okay.
In this economy.
Yeah, you are saving, so maybe, like, something a little bit. But
why not?
But why not?
Manifest. It's so cool to have that. And it's also, again, it's creative. It's like play therapy, right? It's putting it all together and it's finding a way to de-escalate what's going on inside you. Because I'm so sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're completely okay.
I was gonna say, just because, like, one thing I noticed that I learnt more when I left the home is I didn't process things properly. I held every feeling inside, I internalized it, and then it came out in other ways. And it will come out, it will leak. So sometimes it's better just to get ahead of that and write. Writing stops it, I feel anyway, for myself. It stops it from leaking. It's taking control in a way that I am consciously contributing to. I'm consciously taking control of my feelings. And when you don't have a lot of control in a household, control is great. Also, I'm messy as fuck, so there's some passive aggressive shit you can do to
True.
Like, take one battery out of a remote control.
Oh my god.
But you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, there's little things you can do.
Just, like, secretly store the dead batteries and then switch out the good ones with the dummy bad ones so that they keep having to change them out and they're like, why are they all dead?
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta do that. You just gotta hide one sock.
Yeah.
Like, but the other ones are always there. Like, it's just those tiny, really petty things that, like, are so petty that no one actually thinks someone's doing it. But that's your little way. Every single time they're just a little bit homophobic, you're like, that's your battery. You just know in your head, you ain't watching TV tonight.
Your left foot's gonna be real cold in the morning.
But sometimes that's all you can, you know what I mean? Like, to quote my, the smartest little girl I know, Matilda. Sometimes you got to be a little bit naughty. Sometimes you do, and I know that's so petty, but, like, it's harmless pettiness, right? It's not pettiness that leads to anyone actually being in any harm. And sometimes it is those small W's that keep you going. And hey, journal that.
Yeah.
It's also, I will say that this is very, very important. I think it's so smart you're saving. Just as two people who are going through debt right now, we really need to tell you financially, make sure you have extra. Plan for more because the world will come for you. And I don't know if you've lived away from home before, so this may be your first, like, independence, but you really, really, really want to make sure that you've got extra finances. You really want to make sure that you've got I'm so sorry. As we're doing this, is literally another.
We just got a new message in. Hi, we're gonna have a part 2. Don't worry.
Sorry, we just got someone else lots of advice. But yeah, really do make sure you've got those finances there, because it's super, super, super important. Because what you don't want is to enter into a sort of relationship where you're also financially reliant and you're having to go back and forth, because there's nothing worse than making that, like, you know when you're having an argument, you slam the door, but the door actually slams really slow. I think that's what it's like sometimes how it feels, right? When you leave home and then you're back, it doesn't feel great. And especially when home is a toxic place, that's why it doesn't feel great. And that's my experience. And so if it's a great place, hey mom.
Hey.
But if it's not, it doesn't feel great to have to boomerang back and forth. So save money, learn your independence in that home, because the world will get you out of it.
Yeah.
It's really real. Like, you have to do the work inside the house. You have the luxury now of, having a roof over your head. I know these don't feel like great things, but you do. And when you get out of that, save, be smart. be smart, and look into things like, just put money away.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Put money away.
Savings pots, especially ones with good interest, are good.
Yes, this is what we're teaching this one.
I'm learning, guys. I'm learning.
Yeah, so it really is important though, and I just think that's because financial control is it hurts when you have to go back to family only for money. Better than none that it's not a great position to be in, and it can be actually quite financially abusive when someone is aware, oh, I can do this when I know you need money, and it's not fun. So please save, and also you are not alone. It feels like it because you're in your house by yourself, probably experiencing this, as a singular person, but you aren't alone. There are, unfortunately, too many people going through exactly what you're going through right now. And that's not great, but you need to know that you aren't alone. You're needed, you're wanted. We care about you. We're so grateful that you shared your story with us. We're proud of you. And we hope that you take this advice and are comforted in some way to know that you aren't alone. And there is this huge community just waiting for you. We're waiting for that independence. We can't wait. We've done it. We've lived it. We have really lived it. And on the other side is just awesome. Go and watch videos of people who go through similar stories like you, which is why I imagine you came to us. But go watch other people. Go get the inspiration. Go live that dream mentally, if that's all you can do right now until it's physical, because you're there. You're so close. You're so close. Just remember it, right? Just keep focused. And I know it's hard. I know it's so hard to feel like you have to validate yourself in your own home, amongst your own family, the people who literally should be conditioned to love you. It sucks. But the truth is, I'll pick chosen family any day. There are going to be people who accept you for who you are. Just all you have to do is wake up in the morning and they'll take it from there. They'll just be happy you exist, yeah? You matter. Please. And I'm saying this to you because I know you said your mental health is really draining you, and I've been there. You matter. Don't hesitate to look for literally psychological help too. Don't hesitate to go and look for a therapist and speak to someone, because sometimes it does take regular talking, regular commitment to another person who can professionally offer you the advice to keep you stable until you're able to get out of that space, right? You're going to be okay. I promise you this. Doesn't feel like it right now, but you are. You are.
Yeah, you will. And one last little bit of advice. I'm not sure, you did mention that your family is from a homophobic country. I'm not sure if you are in that country or somewhere else that's maybe a bit more inclusive. Regardless, the LGBTQ plus community is everywhere. So I encourage you to try to find any sort of community-based places that you can go to, any sort of events that you can basically just get yourself out of your home environment that's not being great to you and not supporting you and helping you grow, and find spaces that will do that. And that will embrace you and love you, and you can find camaraderie and you can find others who may be experiencing very similar things or the exact same thing.
If not in IRL, you certainly will find them online.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And you can't sleep on the importance of online connections. Online people and online friendships have saved people. Think about the pandemic. Some could argue we got more closer than we ever had, and we could physically couldn't even be around our own family. But some people got super close then, and that's because the power of talking, whether it's done via online or in real life, it really helps. Don't underestimate it. And you started the conversation, you're talking now, and we're so proud of you. We don't even know you, and we know you're gonna make it. We know you're gonna be okay. We promise you. We really hope that this helps in some way. You're gonna be okay, kid.
You're gonna do great.
LGBTQ plus helpline, how can we help you?
Hi, hope you two are doing well. My question is to do with sexuality. So a little backstory on me. Currently, I identify as queer and non-binary. I was questioning at 11 and then came out as a lesbian around 14. I had only had attraction to femmes up until I was 19, when one day I got my first boyfriend. That really threw me for a loop, because up until then I didn't feel anything romantic for men, at all. So I identified as bi-pan for a few years. I dated and slept around with some guys in that time period of me being 19 to 24. Basically, after all that, this year I've been really questioning my sexuality, because now I kind of feel like I force myself to be with guys. Yeah, sometimes I do feel romantically attracted to them, I think, but I've also had a lot of hookups where I felt I had to force myself. Part of that might just be related to trauma. To be honest, I'm not really into penis penetration, and in my experience, femmes are way better in bed, and I'm way more physically and romantically attracted to them. When I fantasize, it's never about men. My feelings for femmes seem so much more concrete and solid and obvious to me. All that being said, I'm married to a bi-cis man. He's amazing, he's kind, he treats me well, he pays the bills. Just when we first started dating, even then, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be with him because I wanted to be with a femme. We are in a poly relationship and I really enjoy it. It gives us good communication, honesty, and freedom to be with whoever we want. Just really been having a hard time recently knowing if I'm actually attracted to him romantically and if it's not because he did anything wrong. Not sure if it's just because we've been together for so long, but most of the time just feels like I'm hanging out with a friend. I think I'm really gay. Just unsure if my attraction to men is actually just my social anxiety or compare. When I talk to new people, I'll get so anxious that I'll start sweating, my heart races and I start blushing, which are all similar to having a crush. If I could choose, I wouldn't be attracted to men. No offense or anything, just when I identified as a lesbian, all of my friendships with guys were so simple and uncomplicated. I'm not unhappy in my marriage, just really trying to figure out if I'm actually attracted to guys or if it's me being really socially anxious. I also don't want to lead my husband on if I'm not romantically attracted to him. I think I am, but at the same time, if I woke up tomorrow and was single and still had a place to live, I don't know if I would choose a man to be with. I don't really know how to articulate all of this. That's crazy. And I'm sorry if this email was long and confusing. I think I love my husband. And I know at least that I love him like a friend. So for now, I'm just identifying as queer because I'm tired of driving myself crazy over this. I've talked to my sister about this, who also identifies as queer, and she told me that I might be a lesbian and she might be too. She's not sure. But also to just stop worrying so much about trying to label it. Also, just wanted to say that I know there might not be a solid answer to this one, and I know it's complicated. Thank you so much for reading, and I hope y'all have a good day and night.
Ooh! There's a lot to unpack here.
Oh, you know, can I say something?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really lengthy, not in a way that like I'm complaining about, but in a way that really, for me, lends like this visual image. I can see this person just like I feel like they've just purged.
Yeah.
And there's either a lot of love, a lot of guilt, or C, both. You know what I mean? I do think it's C. They seem like an actually really genuinely nice person going through a lot of issues. But yeah, just through the messaging and the length of it, I could feel that passion. Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of love there, but there's also guilt. I think it's both. I also think there's something not necessarily hidden, but buried. Yeah. Even in all of that text. I feel like they have... It sounds awful, like I hope this comes across right, but it feels like they have some of the answers themselves. And I'm not entirely sure what they're looking from here, but I think they're almost looking for someone to affirm them in this really concrete, detached way. But I think you already know what's up inside your heart. That's how I feel. I feel like you know what's up, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
No, I think you might be on the right track here. Yeah. That's kind of the vibe that I get as well. I mean, let's be real about it. You said yourself that even when you first got in this relationship, you would have preferred to be with a femme woman. And this is not someone that you are in a relationship with, and you still feel this way now that you are married to this person. And I think that's a really big thing. And I think that's an important thing for all parties to be aware of. I'm not sure what his understanding is of where you're at with your sexuality, with your romantic attraction, sexual attraction, all of those things, because I do want to recognize that romantic and sexual attraction can be different. They don't have to always coincide. So we're not going to be able to give you a solid answer of where you land, and also we're not going to be able to give you a solid answer on what to do. But I think the overall thing to do is to communicate. One thing that came across in your message that, again, like you said, was very lengthy in a way that expressed a lot of love and care, was you seemed very proud of the communication that you guys have. Yeah. You said that the way that your relationship dynamic is, it lends itself to a lot of healthy communication, and you really appreciate that. So my advice is maybe to practice that and rely on that and trust that that is there in your relationship, and be honest with your partner and say, this is where I'm at. I'm not sure what to do about it. I care about you. Maybe you need to, before you have this conversation, have a conversation with yourself. Should I just continue?
Yeah, our aircon's just come up. We're going to continue to the end of the sentence.
Yeah, because I'm just going to wrap it up here. So maybe you need to have a conversation first with yourself about where you're at and really find a little bit more of a concrete grounding for yourself, so that you feel more confident in your identity and where you land and where you feel most comfortable. Even if that's not a solid answer, it doesn't have to be. Labels are not required for you to be who you are. But it sounds like finding the label that works for you might be really beneficial for you. So
Yeah, it seems quite important for you.
yeah, and I've experienced that. I am someone who really does like being able to put a word to feelings or to, the way that I am. I like to be able to have a label for that and an understanding, a definition, those sorts of things, so that then I can feel like people can understand me better. So if that's you and you really value that, then maybe just try to sit with yourself, maybe do some self-education, even if you like, I understand these words and I understand what they mean. Maybe go at it at a very base level. Watch some YouTube videos comparing different identities and maybe how things differ and people's experiences with those identities, and see what might align and not align with you in your experience.
Absolutely.
And you can come out of that saying, I'm a lesbian. You can come out of that saying, I'm bisexual. You can come out of that saying that I'm pan-romantic, but I'm sexually only attracted to women. There's so many different ways that that could play out for you. So I'm not going to limit you on that. And I don't think that there's any point in me trying to give you a label to start out with. But maybe having that and finding that for yourself will just give you a bit more of a bearing on what you can do to communicate that with your partner.
Yeah. I'm going to continue with the aircon on as well, actually, if you don't mind, but I'll talk very loudly. I just want to say that, like, regardless of your label, I think there is obviously another issue here, which is just how you feel towards your partner. And so for some people, a romantic connection isn't needed. For some people, it's like, hey, well, I'm okay with a sexual connection, especially if you have, great communication. If you're like, this is the way our relationship works, our particular connection, but with other partners, this is how we work. That's fine for you. You make the rules, right? But the thing is with like a relationship, the thing is with like polyamorous relationships is communication is literally the key. You need to be open. You need to speak. Because I think regardless of what your sexuality is, it doesn't include your partner anymore. It's what it sounds like to me. And that's sad and it sucks. It sucks for them. And it sucks for you because you're hurting and you feel like you're actively causing this person pain. But the reality is sometimes the not conversating can be causing them more pain because time fixes everything. It's such a cliche, but it does. And what's happening right now is there's this button that has time on it and you're not pressing it. And so time doesn't even have a chance to heal anything because you're not starting it off. It starts with your conversation. That's when the button gets pushed, and then time's going to do its thing. Unfortunately, you don't get to choose how someone else feels about you. So all you can do is speak your truth, and then it's over to your partner to speak his. Also, marriages can mean different things to different people. So you are currently married to him. Maybe marriage is like, I want this, but for him, marriage could be something different. So all I say is also don't make a decision about what marriage is for him. If you know that something isn't quite right and he's missing out on the full you or full experience in your relationship because of those feelings, don't don't waste your time. Don't waste his. But seriously, don't waste your time. You will be miserable, and you could actually learn to resent him when you really want someone to be something they're not. You can start to resent them and it becomes really horrible. So don't do that. Don't force that. Just have a conversation. You have open communication, and hey, you can always land on friendship. That's what I say.
Yeah, I think that like you two do seem to care about each other. And like you said, unfortunately, we don't have a clear understanding of his side of things. Obviously, this is written from one person's perspective. So we don't know what his experience is in all of this. So that is a very good thing to point out that you said about like keeping his experience in mind and being open to whatever kind of reaction he is going to have, because he's allowed to have whatever reaction he has as long as it is not harmful to you or put you in harm's way. It's okay for him to be upset. It's okay for him to not want to be together. It's okay for him to want to make things work. It's, whatever he lands on, just as wherever you're going to land is where you land, the same goes for him.
Right.
So that's where, like you said, the communication is key. And just be honest, be open, and don't shy away from being vulnerable, because that's the only way to really address this, get through it, and come out the other end, wherever that leads you both.
Yeah. Also, you know your partner well better, like way better than we do. And so how your partner likes to be communicated with, I imagine you already know. Like, if me and Leo were having this conversation, I would prefer a blunter, more approach. Leo would not. Absolutely not. And doing it in any other way could affect either of us differently. Like, I just tell me what you think. That's what I need. And Leo's like, whoa, that was a bit much. It was very blunt. And so, you know, if he's someone who prefers blunter communication, just talk to him, write it down in the letter, do what you need to do, but have that conversation, because that time button is waiting for you, right? And it's going to keep going. You're purging to us right now. You're releasing. It's overspilling. There are pages and words that you're releasing to us on the internet, and we can't help you because you know that the help starts inside your home. It starts with that conversation with him, and we wish you luck with that, because it's not an easy conversation. Also, it's really easy to feel guilty when you maybe fall out of love with someone. There's a lot of guilt there. There's also a lot of shame in being queer. A lot of people don't want to speak about that. You spoke about, you know, being compat. Was that compulsive heterosexuality?
Compulsory heterosexuality.
Compulsory sexuality. That word. And all the pressures that there are put into the world for people to appear this way and live this way and exist in this way. And so you know what's inside. That's why I say, when I said there's stuff here that's not hidden but buried. You're burying something. Maybe it's shame, maybe it's guilt. But whatever it is, you have to let it out, because you're not going to be happy until you do. You know what I mean?
That's so true. It's the bottom line is that both of you will be happier if this is addressed.
Yeah.
And if you guys can come to an understanding of where you guys move forward, whether that's together, whether that's apart, whether that's somewhere in the middle, both of you will grow from it. Both of you will come out better and in better situations than you are currently. Because the secrecy and the shame and the sort of like, the guilt and just the unknowing and, you know, those sorts of things that you are feeling right now are vibrations that you are going to let off, and your partner is going to pick up on that. And just, if you're sharing a space, that's going to affect your space. And not to get all like spiritual on y'all, but like, you need to clear that out, and you need to be able to release those things in your guys's, you know, space together, and share that with each other, so that you can understand, how do we address this in our space? What do we do with it? Where does it go? Does it leave? Do we leave? Like, anything of how that happens, there's only one way to get that done, and that's to get it done.
It's that time button.
Yep.
Yeah. And also, you're going to be okay.
You're going to be okay.
I know it's hard. It really is. I can feel it. I can feel it. The typing, the shame, the guilt. It's so heavy.
Anxiety.
The anxiety. Baby, it's so heavy. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You don't need to do this to yourself. Stop, punishing yourself for any feelings that you have inside for femme people. That's okay. It's awesome. Love who you love, and that's okay. You're going to be with the person you actually want to be with. And I don't mean this to disrespect the person you're with, because I know you love them as well, and it's very confusing. But I think deep inside, you have a truth that existed before you even wrote this email. And it's time for you to allow that truth to happen, because it's literally draining you. You are being buried by it, and you deserve to be happy. That's the bottom line. Is, yes, you may break his heart, but you also deserve to have a full heart. So go make yourself happy, and do it in the most respectful way possible, because he has feelings too.
Yeah.
All right, we have just spoken through our aircon. We apologize, but it happens. Do you like this? We like this.
This is quite fun. We really enjoyed this. We hope that you guys enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Like we said, we did get another email whilst filming this, so there will be more coming. There will be an episode 2, hopefully an episode 3. If y'all like this, please let us know. If you're watching this and you're like, hey, I want to get advice too, I want to see my message up there, and I want to hear from Willy and Leo about what they think, write to us. Send us an email at our email is our email. It doesn't start with at.
I know. Our email is Leo and Willy Whitey, and that's Whitey for YouTube and not the colour, at gmail.com. Also, we are going to end with a positive story.
Yeah, we are.
If you want to send us positive LGBTQ stories as well, please also email using that same account, and we are going to end these videos with them. So let me go to it. Or do you want to read the positive story? I've written 2 already.
Yeah.
All right, then go on, let's get into it. Let's end with a positive.
So this is a bit of a long story, and I love hearing love stories from elders, so hopefully everyone else will too. I'm currently almost 43. I met my wife through mutual friends close to 20 years ago. Aww. I thought she was cute, and at the time, I tried to be obvious, and either I failed or she was completely oblivious. One time at like 9 p.m., I drove to her job that was an hour away just to hang out with her at her job, but I brought friends so she didn't think anything of it. Then we were never single at the same time, so nothing happened. I ended up moving from California for Florida for nearly a decade. I dated a narcissistic, abusive trans man. I'm sorry to hear that. When I finally got away from him and got back home, she commented on a Facebook post, and we ended up grabbing sushi as quote-unquote friends. I put that in... friends. I put that in parentheses or quotations because at the time I didn't know how she had felt about me when we were just friends, and she didn't either, so we truly went into it thinking it was just friends catching up. But somewhere in there, it kind of felt like it transitioned into a lot of flirting. Oh. Cute. She ended up insisting on paying, and I went home and paced my kitchen trying to understand what had just happened. Oh, this is so cute. We started talking, and she ended up inviting me over to a chill night, like in sweats, watching The Voice. I loved the show, but I didn't have my TV set up yet, and I couldn't watch it that day. I'd have to wait until the following day when it was on Hulu. The place she lived, they all watched it too, so she invited me over. It was the best first date because I knew the people she lived with already, and we were basically in pajamas, so there was no need to worry too much about how I looked. We snuggled all night. And we've talked to each other every day since for the last 8 years. We were brutally honest at the beginning about our boundaries and triggers. We talk about everything, even when it's difficult. And I'm chronically ill and spent 2 of our first 4 months together, and she took care of my dogs and was at the hospital nearly every day. So I was smitten early on because no one has handled my health like she has. And apparently she knew soon too because she gave me her grandma's ring after less than a month together. That's so lesbian experience. This is like the quintessential lesbian experience. This is adorable.
Love it.
Oh, I love it. And I never knew this kind of love was possible. I can be fully unmasked with her. She supports all of my crazy dreams, and I have no fears about where our relationship stands because of our communication. If you're still out there dating now, know that there is someone or some people out there for you. If you had asked me 10 years ago about what my type was, she wouldn't have fit it. But once I left the abusive relationship and found myself, and I worked on myself again, I said that I would say yes to anyone because obviously my picker was broken, and I'm so glad that I did. She is my best friend, my biggest cheerleader, and my entire heart. So just say yes more and see where life takes you. Love you both. So proud of you. Your YouTube mom.
It's YouTube mom! We're literally squeezing hands. We weren't holding hands before you started it. And like during it, we got closer. And so now we're like, we love each other. We have a YouTube mom. And that was we have a YouTube mom. We have a YouTube Mima. We have a YouTube grandma. And I think we have a YouTube granddad from Japan, but we haven't.
Oh. I love that. I don't think I've met him.
You have. I'll explain to Leo about our family. He's been working a couple jobs.
I've been a bit out the family group chat.
But that's so cute. Oh my god, that's adorable. And it really is nice to hear. Like, I feel like when I hear like love stories from people who are queer, just positive ones as well. Like, it's just like, oh.
It's so cute. And also, like, thank you for sharing a story as someone who is an older part of the LGBTQ plus community. We love you very much, and it's so important to hear your stories. And I think, I mean, for the both of us, we can say that we definitely do enjoy hearing elder stories, and just like getting to hear about how your lives were and are still today. You guys have a beautiful love story. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Thank you for sharing it with us. And to everyone who shared today, we appreciate you so much. And again, if you want to share your story positive or you want some advice, then please email us today at Leo and Willy, YT for YouTube and not the colour, @gmail.com. We love you very much. Drink water, eat carrots. Goodbye.